Speaking of people we haven't checked in on in a while, the great Tom Myers. Tom Myers was on a show called Mere Musk. I think I'm getting that right. I don't know if that's the guy's name. I'm not familiar. But I am familiar with them in the sense that they had Stuttering John on a while back. And one of the guys started fucking with John at the end.
Mm-hmm.
I was waiting for that with Tom. That's why I was like, oh, they're going to eventually ask him about Nick Mullen or WATP, or we're going to get some juice out of this. But I don't know. They mentioned Ray DeVito a lot. There seemed to be some rivalry between Tom and Ray that I don't care to learn any more about.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. They never, the other shoe never dropped, but they did get some good nuggets out of Tom, I thought. High-minded Tom is definitely my favorite Tom.
Oh, yeah.
Like when he's reflecting on his career. But I'll say what I learned through most of this podcast, and what I learned through seeing him in Havre de Grace, is like, if Tom could drop the notion that he's a funny guy, because not everyone's funny.
Right.
You don't have to be funny to exist on this planet.
Right.
If Tom could just say, I'm a guy that's not funny, I think he's a pretty regular dude. He seems polite. He's affable enough. I think he'd be an okay guy if he could just get out of his head that he's funny. If he could just erase that from his mindset. Because most of this is him being like perfectly pleasant, certainly not funny at all. But then when he talks about his like comedy career, he does the self-deprecating thing that all these guys do. That's the thing about, the people that are covered on the internet like this. Opie in particular. They can all give surface level self-deprecation.
Right.
Like Opie can say, hey, listen, with Jim and Anthony, like, I have my own share of problems, but those guys did this and that's just surface level bullshit that you say to absolve yourself of any sin,
Right.
That's like what Tom does, where he's like, listen, I'm not the best comedian on the planet. But then listen to how he talks about his career. It's pretty great.
Yeah,
but I forget where we're starting.
Stress relief.
Oh, well, listen. The grind that Tom goes through day to day, you got to find a way to center yourself. When you have a hustle and bustle career like Tom's, you got to find some points in the day that, you can get a little relief.
Whoa, where you perform? Because when Ray was on, he was mentioned he performs at the Stand, and he says you perform over there too, right?
Whenever I'm in town, yeah.
Okay.
I only get up there. Like I said, I'm in Baltimore. I only get up there a couple times a year. In fact, I've been so swamped with stuff here with the podcast, and I have a side gig. I do public address announcing for youth baseball games. So which is great. It's a great release if you want to, if you're so immersed in comedy and podcasting that you
Hold on 1 second. Tom said he hasn't been doing as much stand-up because he's focused on the podcast. His podcast is once a week, 29 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
He's immersed in it.
After Tom said that about the baseball thing, he looks like Chris D'Elia X.
Well, Tom, you got to unwind. After you do 29 minutes of work a week, you got to unwind somehow. And what better way than catching an Aberdeen Ironbirds game? But listen to the way he talks about it. He talks about it the way, we just did an episode on Woody Allen. The way Woody Allen looks at his clarinet playing. That's Tom's creative outlet with the Aberdeen Ironbirds, minor league baseball.
And podcasting that you want to get away from it. And it's like
normal.
When can I get away from comedy? God damn it. Like I sit and I get to watch baseball. I get to announce names. I get to play music in between innings, the music I want. I get to watch sports and talk to a microphone and get paid for it. So
you're living the dream then.
He's talking about it like he's Stephen A. Smith.
Right.
He's like, listen, I just get to be paid for talking sports, what I love doing. No, you're now batting. And then you get the fuck out of there.
Right. Next we got his writing process,
Listen, as we learned, it's a stressful week. And I joked, I said 29 minutes of work. But if you've heard Tom's monologues, you know there's so much more that goes into that. So this is Tom's writing style, and it does have to be exhausting.
And I know you're getting in the swing of things with the PA announcing, but have you been doing any touring as of late?
I have not. Like I said, the podcast keeps me busy, and I enjoy doing it. So my writing muscles have been getting a good exercise. I've been getting a good workout because I try and write on average.
Ooh. Sorry. I'm a little sore. I've been listening to Tom Myers jokes all week. Even listening to them, you think, how could these be written like that? It is a good point where you do think, like, this is hurting my bones to listen to. So I can only imagine the excruciating process that it takes to write them. This is like, I've heard this because we did like an episode about Tom and everything. Like, so I try much like the comedy club owners we talked about earlier. I try to do my research, and I spoke to coal miners that were like, listen, I'm no hero. Like, I have an exhausting day, but I'm not writing things like bong hit transplant.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Like, they do have that thought process. So it's good. Just game recognizing game, I suppose.
JFK Head Chunk said he has a 200-pound pen.
That's a great name.
3 jokes a day for a particular week. So I try and set myself a goal for that.
Right.
And if I can find one, it's easier for me to write jokes for the podcast than it is for the stage, because stage audiences, they're a lot more, like the live shows, they're a lot more demanding than someone who sits down and listens to a podcast, obviously.
Right.
So, you know, I do that. I get some workout stuff there. But that doesn't mean to say that I haven't been doing comedy at all. I've been getting a good comedy workout on some virtual or hybrid shows, rather, run by.
Oh, man. Can someone put together the Rocky montage of Tom preparing his jokes? Drinking raw eggs and running upstairs.
Having the worst Zoom shows of all time.
Oh, yeah. No, he gets to that. Don't worry.
Comic out of Los Angeles named Dat Fan. He was the original winner of.
Go back a little bit. Go back. You want to hear about a workout? The Mick to Tom Myers Rocky. You got to keep them silent, Tom. You want to keep them puzzled. They're never going to know what hit them.
Run by comic out of Los Angeles named Dat Fan. At all. I've been getting a good comedy workout on some virtual or hybrid shows, rather, run by comic out of Los Angeles named Dat Fan. He was the original winner of Last Comic Standing.
We know! It's the only thing he's ever done. We got it.
He's never talked about it.
Why? And I do it sometimes. Is it like... This is where we might be in a simulation. Because for some reason, if the name Dat Fan is ever uttered, in order to get anything other than blank stares from people, you have to say Last Comic Standing Season 1 winner.
And even then...
Or like, the Earth doesn't keep moving. Something happens if you don't say that.
I was going to say, even then, though, the stares are still pretty blank.
Yeah, no, I didn't watch NBC for that 1 hour in the summer 20 years ago.
I was outside playing tag with my friends.
Comedy coaching, in addition to doing like movies and TV shows, he set up a hybrid Zoom show, which Zoom comedy took a lot of shit just because...
I'm sorry. Hold on. Hybrid between Zoom and what?
I thought he was going to continue explaining that.
It's a hybrid, like a hybrid vehicle is gas and electric, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's combining two things.
That's right.
This is combining comedy with, Guantanamo Bay style torture, perhaps. Maybe that's what he means in terms of a hybrid, a Zoom hybrid.
Right.
Nature of things like, but if a Zoom show is run well, then the show works, and it's an excellent gauge of how one's jokes work. with most Zoom shows, I see it where like once the comic's done performing, they'll shut their camera off and just go away and make dinner or something. And if
It's not a, it's not a pure art form to them, man.
That's a hybrid. It's a Zoom show and dinner.
It's a Zoom show and just a guy's life. You know, most of these horrible Zoom shows that I'm in, you see a guy flip on a baseball game.
Isn't that hybrid lady that sings the Justin likes on those a lot?
Christine Knowlton.
Yeah.
I don't know if she's made it onto Dat Fans shows or not. Possibly though.
they'll rush over the computer, like, oh, and but with Dat Fans Zoom shows, they're not like that. Everybody,
Yeah, man, he has the pure Zoom shows. He's not like these phonies that are trying to make a buck in Hollywood off the lucrative comedy Zoom show. It's not just guys that are afraid to go out and do actual stand-up because they've been made a mockery of. It's definitely not that.
on, like they keep them steady, like no walking around with your phone, stuff like that.
Right.
People seasick. And as a result, the shows work. And excuse me, the shows that I've been doing, oddly enough, since COVID, I've had a lot more confidence in them just because I have
people aren't falling asleep.
They don't have to leave their house to join.
Yeah. Now there's no audience for a reason I can wrap my mind around. I don't have to choke myself with a belt when I get home. And tell myself that no one showed up. With these Zoom shows, I can just pretend people were watching me, you know?
Here we have him talking about the trolls.
Well, Tom has dealt with that a lot. But as we're going to learn, like, there's pros and cons to that. So Tom has a good perspective on the trolls. Maybe Joe Mattery should learn.
Like in the context of what you were talking about, sorry, I go off on these tangents.
No, do your thing, buddy.
Tangents. He goes off on a tangent about a Zoom comedy show.
I kind of liked, like I said, I wish these interviewers were like fucked with Tom a little more, but I kind of like that they were just pumping his tires. They were like, "Nah, you're great, man."
Like he seems to think that you were talking about how like a lot of people were trolling him.
Yeah, he thought we were trolling him too.
In the Dabbleverse and all, but
Whoa.
and like, everybody.
Yeah, Tom's entering the Dabbleverse,
is
baby.
out that.
That's danger. That's good for Stuttering John.
Interesting. No, because I think even Tom is more self-aware than John.
Ooh.
Yeah, I think so. Guys, throw it in the comments. What do you think? John or Tom? Who's more self-aware?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
I think it's Tom.
Maybe. I mean, I guess he did say like the Zoom shows were shit on, so I guess he was aware.
Tom will never list his credits. Tom is not delusional enough to think like the pro football arm wrestling championship is something you should constantly talk about.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's where I come up with that opinion.
Good you are, right? You know, Bill Burr has got trolls like Lenny Bruce.
Okay, maybe you know what? All right, I'm sorry. Hold on a second.
Thank you.
I forgot how this clip turns. Hold on, go back. I want to fully assess if I was correct or not. If you could rewind a few seconds.
I'm feeling great about my decision right now.
Yeah, maybe I was a little crazy.
Everybody's got that. It doesn't matter how good you are, right? You know, Bill Burr has got trolls like Lenny Bruce had trolls, except his trolls were called the New York City Police Department, the Chicago Police Department, the Los Angeles Police Department.
This joke would have been fine if he left it at New York City Police Department.
We got it. Well, you understand what police are. He traveled.
System, but lost my thought. But well, you know, I get them as well.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I'm well aware.
Just three guys: Lenny Bruce, Bill Burr, Tom Myers. Three comedians that get trolled, and there's no difference between the three of them.
They just tell
just-
wars. They tell war
people-
stories at the table at the Comedy Cellar.
people that would criticize Lenny Bruce and Bill Burr are saying the exact same things. I mean, everyone has their version of a bong hit transplant joke, you know?
Right.
You know how there's AI versions of Bill Burr's you knock her into the cupboard drawers domestic violence joke? Everyone, thousands of people on the internet have made a mockery of that.
Right.
It's not just that the people hate successful people online, but also Tom Myers is insane. You know what, Craig? This might be a good fight between you and me with the delusional.
Tom sees the Philly rant and he goes, "Man, I get it.
Yeah,
I bet."
it's just like Havard to Grace. You know what? That's a great example. Here's the difference between Tom's trolls and Bill Burr's trolls. Bill Burr's trolls were people that hadn't seen his comedy yet and are booing him. We've seen Tom's comedy and ironically went, "Yay, Tom! Keep doing this."
We're gonna drive 8 hours to see it.
Yeah.
But the trolls become fans, Mike. We're about to find out.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, but this is what confused me a little bit. Not confused, but made me think perhaps he was a little more open-minded than John. Because all Tom's fans had to come from somewhere. We forget that.
I will say this, but I will admit I do have trolls. But
I'm
Brave.
glad you admit that.
I'm not above them.
You know what? Hand up. As many people that love me, there are a few that think I'm ridiculous.
People have actually wished death upon me online. I feel safe sharing that now.
troll that I have, there's probably a bunch of people who comment or who follow me who actually like what I do. I mean, I legit hope that for Ray's sake that he has a similar type of thing as well, where he has people who.
Oh boy, this is where Tom, Ray, at the very least, is as legitimate a comedian as you. This is where Tom gets into trouble when he gets in wars with people. Remember what he said about Nick Mullen?
Yep.
And that's that, like, he would call Nick Mullen an opener. He's like, "Oh, well, call me when that guy has as many credits as I do." It's like Nick Mullen was on one of the most successful podcasts ever. They make a killing off that, and now has like a great comedy special out. He plays theaters. Like I saw him at the Wilbur Theater here in Boston. Nick's doing quite well for himself, but this is where Tom gets delusional and thinks like, "Hey, listen, my haters can say what they want, but I'm above all of them,"
legitimately enjoys seeing him for his comedy. I wish no ill will towards him on that. It's just like what he said triggered me. But I often found that when people listen to certain podcasts, when they shit on me or talk bad about me,
Who would do
they'll
that?
come and see me, and they'll be like, "Oh, okay, he's not so bad. Not my favorite comedian."
Yes.
I'm not asking to be your favorite.
Well, he's kind of right there because it was that fan that was the fucking problem that day, not him.
Sure, but I didn't walk out of there going, "You know what, guys? Tom's really good at comedy."
He's just they did. He's right though. The trolls did go see him.
We did go see him. I don't think anyone walked out of there being like, "Tom fucking slayed." I hope they've got a mop to wipe up the blood because Tom just murdered up there. But no, like, yeah, we did think like, "Oh, Tom seems like when we talked to him after the show, we're like, hey, maybe Tom's a nicer guy than we realized." Then in interactions after that, we realized, well, maybe we were wrong. But people come away saying like, "Hey, Tom's not an evil man," sure, but no one walks away saying like, "That guy was a hoot."
Good news, by the way. The Bo Burnham episode is now unblocked.
Woo! You hear that, YouTube?
We can't make money off. Can't make money off it, but it's unblocked.
Yeah, well, whatever. Does that mean? Do you think? Will it get fucked? Like, will people? Guys, I don't know how the algorithm works, but seek out Bo Burnham's Inside that we did on Why You Laughing. It'll be up on Wednesday. It's up now for members, but go check it out if you want.
I know I'm not, the greatest comedian in the world. I've never This is what Ray says in his bio. He says he's edgy. I never called myself edgy.
Tom, we've heard it a million. Yes, you do.
Constantly, actually.
Tom, you constantly refer to yourself as edgy, and you're like, when you do the type of. This is what Tom said to me in Havre de Grace.
Yeah.
I said, Tom, do you ever get worried when you play an audience that isn't yours that people are going to get offended? And he's like, when you do the kind of edgy material that I do, you got to learn to get over that. You know, someone's going to be offended somewhere.
I've always tried to just say, hey, come out and see me. You might have a good time. If you don't, tell someone you hate about me or something. If you want to torture them,
Right.
Tell someone you hate about me.
Yeah, well, listen. I had a great time. I can't deny that.
Right.
That's where I can't sue the man for slander. We had a terrific time.
Never been more jealous of missing something in my life.
Yeah. Now it turned very ugly thanks to Dat Fan and his hijinks. But,
So I wish I was there.
yeah,
I
well,
start yelling at him.
you missed out.
Next we have, who is this about?
Oh, yeah. This was very odd. This is not like obviously he's talking about so-and-so. Maybe this analogy goes over my head, but Tom is doing something where he's clearly talking shit about someone. I can't figure out who he means. But he's talking about someone that he was very helpful to that is now more success, has gone on to fame and fortune.
like guys like this comic who I won't name, Robbie Goodwin, Louis J. Gomez. I'm forever in their debt as a result of that.
I just realized I did not do this on purpose. I was Louis J. Gomez involved in every subject we talked about today.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That's very weird. I don't know. I didn't do that on purpose, but
Tom, I actually had a question. He's referring to when he went on Real Ass Podcast, right?
yeah. And he's also said he's reached out to Louis about stuff as far as like editing, and Louis was like actually responded and gave him a real response. What are you laughing at?
Tiger Lily with the funniest comment. He said he's clearly talking about Mike Bruschetti. That's very funny.
You're right. You know what? We'll hear it, but now it's in my head. You're right. Talking about Mike Bruschetti.
I'm forever in their debt as a result of that. I'm always going to be grateful to them for that. Just like I'm grateful to Ray for he got me John Fugelsang's contact information. And
whoa, that's big. You got Fugelsang?
That's pretty big.
That's massive. Here's a fun John Fugelsang story. I guess he was a real dick to the Bonfire when Big J and Dan, I guess, shared a studio with him at Sirius.
Mm-hmm.
And he was an asshole to them. And then, so they started doing a bit. I guess he was specifically an asshole to Jay, but knew who Soder was, and he would go, "Hey, Dan, how's it going?" It was like nice to Soder.
Mm-hmm.
So they would do a bit on the Bonfire where it's like Fugelsang would come in and go, "Hey, fat tits, nice gloves, you retard." And be like, "Hey, Dan, buddy, what's going on? Great special." And so they would do that bit, and John Fugelsang complained to management and said they weren't allowed to talk about him anymore.
Oh, good.
So that's the kind of person John. Anyways, that's my John Fugelsang rant. But let's go back to Tom.
That's better.
Let's say if a hypothetical comic who goes on a hypothetical, like-minded, left-wing hypothetical podcast somehow blows up and becomes a very hypothetically famous hypothetical
Jesus Christ
comedian,
Right.
then the hypothetical comic who helped out the hypothetical now successful comic is always in said hypothetical comic's debt.
Jesus.
Oh, he said you cut it off. He says another hypothetically after that. And it's like, we got it. But Tom's saying that he helped someone who went on to like massive success.
Dave
Am I
Smith?
wrong? Isn't that what he's saying?
Is he talking about Dave Smith? That'd be hilarious.
My thought was like Stavros, but Stavros never did his podcast.
And I doubt he's a left-wing psycho.
Oh, Stavros is very left wing.
A psycho, though?
No, but
No.
he's definitely like he's a Bernie guy and all that.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah.
I don't recommend it,
think.
but that's fine.
Guys, sound off in the comments as we like to say here.
You'll get that joke once you watch the Bo Burnham episode.
Fellas, sound off in the comments. Who the fuck is he talking about? Because I was very intrigued by that, where Tom's saying that someone on his podcast is Jeff Heisen now a star that I'm not aware of? It's very interesting. Death Man?
A left-wing
G.D. Fenderson?
comic. He probably does mean Stavros.
Is he saying that he... But basically, Tom, he put the word hypothetically in there so often. I don't blame if you couldn't follow it. But he's saying that he had someone on his podcast that is now very successful, and that person should be indebted to him, and evidently isn't. So I'm intrigued by who that is. I don't know. Let me know if you guys know.
Carl's Frosted Tips, $2. Happy Gary Plauche Day.
I don't know Gary Plauche.
Me either.
It is St. Patrick's Day, isn't it?
Yes.
Happy St. Patty's Day, everyone.
We probably should open with that. See our green background? That's why it's green.
Oh, that's cool.
Chef Lewis, $5. So much Gomez talk. Had a great set this week.
Oh, he's in Providence this weekend.
Oh, he had a great set this week. He wrote We Kendra Comedy Connection. I think he had to say weekend.
Yeah.
Autocorrect. That tripped me up, guys. I'm sorry.
Sorry, Chef Lewis. I was going to go with the boys, but we couldn't make it, unfortunately.
Yeah, I have no clue who we'd be talking about.
Neither do I. Yeah, let me know if you guys know. The only reason it wasn't the best clip to end with, but I was just like, who the fuck is he talking about? Who is he? Who has Tom handed a career to? It reminded me of like when Stuttering John talks about the Midas Touch brothers and thinks he made them.
Gary Plauche was the father of a kidnapped boy who killed the son's kidnapper. Is that the one that pretended to be on the phone from like the 80s or something? If that's true, that guy rules.
Why does he rule?
Because he killed the guy who, like, I think it was more than a kidnapping, but
Killed what guy?
the guy who, I think it was a molestation, and the father
Killed the kid?
No, he killed the guy who did it to his kid.
Oh, I thought Craig was applauding. He got rid of any evidence. And a boy.
He got rid
That's
of
the way that you do it. You get rid of these yappy kids before they can open their trap.
Yeah, DJ Electra says it was that one. So actually, that guy rules. Next clip is Numbers Man.
Oh, I forgot. We're not ending with Tom Myers. I forgot this is great. Tom's not a slave to the numbers, and I think that's important when you get into the line of work that Tom is.
I really don't see any correlation. Some weeks we have great listens, some weeks we don't. I've tried to look at like what the topic was that particular week. Like if there's a particular guest that we have on or a particular panelist I have, because I have a lot of regular panelists. If there's a panelist that people like or don't like, I mean, I've always just tried to write stuff. I have a format for I have a format for the podcast. I follow it pretty stringently. So I mainly focus on that, not focus so much on, the ratings and everything, because then I become like a corporate minded guy and I lose my
edge.
I
Edge,
lose my
say
creativity.
Okay.
And I don't like to get all bogged down in that kind of stuff.
Right.
I could have 2 million listeners next week and I still wouldn't give a shit. I'm like, okay, this next episode. Yeah, I gotta. So it's like, I'm trying to, I'm just trying to, do a show and just do a show and live, man.
Do some of your passion.
Yeah, the problem is, Tom, you have 35 listeners, not 2 million.
If I got 2 million, I wouldn't care. Shut up.
Here's the issue: is Tom Myers versus the rest of the world. He's like, listen, man, I'm not going to change it for some corporation. Yeah, but how about to get people to listen to it? Would you change it then? You know, like if a tree falls in the forest, Tom, I suppose is the question.
Mike, I got a question. If I come to you in like a few days, I'm like, this episode got 2 million downloads.
Yeah. Well, I would actually go the other way. Hey, this week's episode got 2 views. I would say, well, you know what? Maybe we should do something different.
Something's not working at all.
Something is amiss here. Yeah. But Tom's, if I'm not mistaken, Tom's podcast is on all platforms, yes?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's good because we're on YouTube right now.
Yep.
It's kind of silly of us. It's dumb of us to do that because no one really gets their podcast on YouTube. You should, Leave us 5 stars on Apple and Spotify, which I know is how you guys are listening. But-
Should I check what the numbers of that Cat Williams Shannon Sharp interview are at?
It was 50 million last I saw.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no reason I'm mentioning this. Let's just hear another great business strategy by Tom.
I do the editing.
We can tell.
decompress on Wednesday.
Oh, hold on. I
Right.
forgot.
Editing.
This clip goes somewhere else, but I just wanted to leave that part in because he's talking about it. He's like, listen, I do a 29-minute show on Tuesday. I edit it that night. Then, of course, I probably don't even need to say this, I decompress on Wednesday. I think, oh, God. All that writing saying Trump is guilty took so much out of me.
And just for the record, the Shannon Sharp Cat Williams episode is at 62 million.
On what? Tubi?
Yes.
What was that on?
He got more than the Oscars got.
Yeah. So hold on. I'm sorry. Tom is saying, like, listen, Wednesday is my day. Like, a man can only craft so many jokes about what a fool Mitch McConnell is without taking a break. So he decompresses on Wednesday. All right.
I decompress on Wednesday, just
Right,
doing editing and whatnot, and it drops on my Patreon Thursday morning at midnight.
Which is very funny for I do a political show, you know,
Sure.
and there's nothing like recording something and then releasing it 2 days later because nothing changes in that.
Yes, that's very important. It's critical to make sure it's delayed so that everyone's like, yeah, no, I know. I've actually heard a better version of that joke on fucking Twitter 40 times.
Just for
Okay.
the for a certain level of subscriber, it's like they get them, and then they for a few hours later it goes up for everybody else.
A few hours.
That's like that's very funny. Like that'd be like Why Are You Laughing gets posted and 3 hours later it's free.
Yeah.
I know
Yeah,
that
we
kinda happened
for-
this week, but
For patrons, we post Why You Laughing at 11:58 Wednesday night. And then it goes up on all platforms at midnight. A couple hours. If you're a patron, you better be on guard, like waiting for Tom Myers to drop for it to be worth it to you to subscribe.
Wherever you get your podcasts, and it's integrated with my YouTube channel as well, so you get a YouTube version of which it's a very small segment of the listens because hardly anybody listens to podcasts on YouTube. They'll go to
No, definitely not. Do me a favor, Craig. Pull up Powerful JRE. It's a small channel, but I just want to check something real quick.
all right, so let's see.
It's a young up-and-comer named Joe Rogan.
Oh, got it.
Go to his last episode if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, from 1 day ago.
Yeah.
How many views does it have? Is that what you're curious?
I suppose. Yeah, it's only been a day, and no one really listens to the podcast on YouTube. So it's what, 15, 20 views?
It's 1.3 million.
Oh
Since
my
yesterday.
God.
Yeah,
No. Not on Apple.
correct. Which is, by the way, the number one show on Apple.
I'm saying on YouTube.
Yep. He had Cat Williams on 2 weeks ago.
Okay, fine.
That's at 14 million. So it's getting 1 million views a day.
No one listens to podcasts on YouTube. It's made. I mean, I can list the people: fucking Bert Kreischer, Tom Segura, Shane Gillis, Tim Dillon. It's made careers, Tom.
That right.
No one watches. It's the way to consume podcasts now. People don't even say, leave me a 5-star review on Apple and Spotify because it's almost useless at this point. It's all going to YouTube.
Right.
Listen, that's what I, sorry, Tom. That's what I love about Tom is his version of delusion is like, oh, no one watches my podcast on YouTube. Now, no one listens to it either, but people can see the views on YouTube. So
Right.
what I'll trick everyone. Everyone will believe me if I say, but no, who really uses YouTube? Then what is that even?
What is YouTube?
I've never heard of it.
No.
Owned by
me
Google? That's a small company.
neither.
Google buys a lot of things that nobody uses.
Right. I've never used it.
No.
That was actually the end of the clip. I thought there was more.
Yeah, no. So no one uses YouTube.